have 8:59.
It's okay. I just started some.
They bought most
Oh,
of
we have
those.
somebody else. Mark Gamalski. Okay, good. They're getting admitted. Mark Gamalski.
Okay, I've got 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag
Of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're okay. Nice to know there was something there.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to the latest installment of the Board of Commissioners meeting. I want to say Board of Education, thanks to you.
Every time.
Sorry.
I would like to remind everybody that this is a public meeting and we are recording video and audio. Awards and recognitions. I think I am up first on that category. I'm going to take this down so people can hear me. Okay, we have 2 challenge coins to give away, or that were given away probably.
Yes.
They both came out of the planning department. And the first one was from Bob Walder to Carol Johnson. This coin is presented to Carol Johnson for her outstanding mentorship over the past several years. Carol is a tremendous resource to this office and has helped train many of the staff. She is always willing to graciously drop what she is working on to share her institutional knowledge and experience as a land use planner with others. Carol is a problem solver and often brings a unique, well thought out response when dealing with a variety of complex land issues. She isn't afraid to do the research necessary to help our team or customers understand land use regulations. Carol is reliable and thorough in her work and is somebody who can be trusted to deliver for our department and Umatilla County. Congratulations, Carol.
Yes.
The second coin that was given out also came from the planning department to Megan Dovchowski. Did I say that close enough?
Close enough, yeah.
Dovchowski?
Dobchevsky.
If you've ever met her husband, you better get her right.
I know, I have. And it was also presented from Bob Walder as well. This coin is presented to Megan Dovchowski for her leadership and efficiency in the planning department. Megan has made a positive impact on this office and the county in a relatively short period of time. Over the past several months, she has led a seamless transition of bringing the facilitation of the county transit program in-house while still maintaining her other work responsibilities in the planning department. Whether it is completing map requests, providing support at meetings, or making website updates, Megan is often a step ahead, anticipating what is needed and completing tasks before she is even asked. I sometimes joke saying that I wish we could clone Megan because of her confidence as a planner and the value she adds as a team player. Megan is a true asset to the planning department and a rising star at Umatilla County. Congratulations. And for the record, I like the last name you had before. It was a whole lot easier for me to pronounce.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well earned, for sure. Any other awards in correspondence? And approval of the previous minutes from January 5th.
Move for approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All fair say aye. Aye.
Aye.
You want to vote?
Huh?
You didn't vote. Did you want to?
I said
Oh, I did.
Quiet.
Well, after March 31st, you'll hear me better.
I have no doubt. Any additions to the agenda? And now I'd like to get any public input recognition from visitors that have nothing to do with the agenda that's already slated to be discussed. Okay. Hearing none, we'll go into item number 1, which is City of Umatilla co-adoption, and we'll go into public hearing mode. Ladies and gentlemen, I call this land use hearing before the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners to order. My name is John Schaefer. I am a member of the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners and board liaison to the planning department. Our role today is to conduct a public hearing concerning a request made by Oregon Department of Transportation and the City of Umatilla for the county to co-adopt a proposed change within the city's urban growth boundary. The proposed change would provide an aggregate resource overlay zone to an existing ODOT aggregate quarry, a 1,500-foot buffer area, and identify the site as a Goal 5 protected site. The criteria of approval are found in Umatilla County Development Code 152.750.152.755 and OAR 660-024-0020 and a joint management agreement between the city and the county. I'll begin the hearing by asking staff to summarize the application. I'll ask the applicant to testify, followed by those in favor of the application. Then, any persons in opposition or who have questions or concerns will also have a chance to speak. If there is opposition or questions, staff may respond to them. The commissioners also may ask the staff and witnesses questions throughout the hearing until the record closes. Any person with an interest in today's agenda may offer relevant oral and/or written testimony, but please only speak when I identify you for that purpose. When you testify, please begin by clearly stating your name, address, and if you represent someone else, please say so. If you have any exhibits you want us to consider, such as a copy of your testimony, photographs, petitions, or other documents of physical evidence, please provide it to me or to the staff. It will be marked as part of the record. Now I'd call for any abstentions, bias, conflict of interest, or declaration of ex parte contact and objections to jurisdiction. Hearing none. And call now for the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. My name is Megan Dovchevsky, and I'm the County Planner. Oregon Department of Transportation is the applicant for this proposal. They're also the property owner. ODOT and the City of Umatilla are requesting the county to co-adopt amendments to the property identified as tax map 5 North 2816A, tax lot 1700. This property is located within the City of Umatilla's urban growth boundary, outside of city limits. The proposal is to include the existing aggregate site as a Goal 5 protected site. The property is generally located southeast of the City of Umatilla and east of Interstate 82. In accordance with the joint management agreement between the county and the City of Umatilla, the county is required to co-adopt any amendments within the city's urban growth boundary. Therefore, the county has the authority to consider and approve the comprehensive plan map, comprehensive plan text, and zoning map amendments. In conclusion, the process of approval by the county involves review by the County Planning Commission with a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the co-adoption at their January 27, 2022 meeting. Additionally, the Umatilla City Council approved the amendment application at their December 7, 2021 meeting. Following county approval, the city will adopt an ordinance which finalizes these amendments. The county is then required to co-adopt this ordinance. Staff received one comment from the City of Umatilla's Planning Department prior to the Planning Commission hearing, so that was entered into their record and is included in your packets. This concludes the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
None for mine. For me.
None.
At this time, I would call for any proponents, the applicant and the representative, or other proponents.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carla McLean, speaking on behalf of the applicant, the Oregon Department of Transportation. For the record, my address is 170 Van Buren Drive, Umatilla, Oregon 97882. This is the third and final aggregate site that we've been working on in Umatilla County over the past year or so. The previous two were before you a couple months ago. It was the Butter Creek and the Vincent Canyon sites. This one's a little bit different and it's taken a little bit different path because it is inside the urban growth boundary of the City of Umatilla. It is an ODOT site that has been owned and in this case operated since about 1951, I believe is the acquisition date. It is on tax lot 1700 of Assessor's Map 5 North 2816A. It is in the urban growth boundary. It sits between the main part of town and the McNary part of town, just south of Highway 730, right in the south, what would be the southeast quadrant of the Interstate 84 interchange area to Highway 730 within the city of Umatilla. Again, in this case, it has been operating. It has a permit history with the city with Umatilla County, not with the city, but with Umatilla County. And there have been projects that have been done there. As with ODOT on an interim basis, project comes in, no projects for a while. It has been a while since this pit has been actively used, but it is an integral part of the ODOT inventory. As the Planner Dubchevsky shared with you all, this has been going through the hearings process. This is the fourth and hopefully final hearing this morning. It did go in front of both the City of Umatilla Planning Commission as well as the City Council. Those hearings took place last year and got affirmative votes through that process. And then again was before the Umatilla County Planning Commission just last month. It is, from a quantity and quality perspective, it clearly meets the standards that are required. I'm gonna read this because I've been known to mix up my numbers, so I'm just gonna read it. It's located. It has an inventory of 2.95 million tons of available sands and gravels and basalt bedrock. And that's a unique component. Most of the times we're looking at a site that is either basalt or sand and gravel. This one actually has both available. The sand and gravel layer is up to 68 feet deep, with the basalt layers between 183 and 290 feet. The evaluation of the sands and gravels account for rock that may not be of the right size or meet other standards. The inventory of half the total available is 365 cubic yards, or 548,400 tons. That alone meets the standard for quantity. But the basalt, when you add the basalt, there's estimated to be 1.6 million cubic yards, or 2.4 million tons. So when you look at the sand, the gravel, and the basalt altogether, it more than meets the standards for quantity. There is attached to the report a 3-page spreadsheet, and if you had trouble reading it, it's because you need to put them side by side and they run all the way out. For this particular activity, we were looking specifically at the testing that was completed in 1992. That's test number 92-14527. And in that particular case, there are ODOT standards for abrasion and soundness and density. And I am not a geologist, but there is one on the phone or somebody that can answer to those geology questions. So if you have any specific questions about that, they're here and they can answer them. But what I can tell you is the testing shows that the rock clearly meets the ODOT standards for those factors that are considered. As with the other two, so again, we clearly show that we meet the standards required in the rule for both quantity and quality of the rock. One of the requirements of the process for Goal 5 protections is to look at that 1,500-foot impact area. We have done that. There's a map that's also available in the packet that shows what that impact area is. There are a couple of things that are within that impact area that we identified. There is a medical facility, the highway, the interstate both fall within that. There are 2 potential residential units. One appears to be a home. The other one is a home within a redevelopment of an old egg place. I can't come up with the right word, but a place where you put chickens to hatch eggs. So there is no permit history that we were able to identify for those 2 residences, but they are there, and they're at the edges of that 1,500-foot impact area. And we did account for that as we went through the easy analysis. As with the previous 2 applications, what ODOT is requesting is not that you limit activities within this impact area, but that those activities be notified and asked to, City of Umatilla language is a little bit different than Umatilla County, but sign a remonstrance so that there is, or a letter of agreement so that there is an understanding that there is an active mining operation, and that we want to make sure that they're aware of that when they site in that area so that they're not taken by surprise. And of course, the people who live in that area have been living around mining activities for many, many years. It should also be stated that this is not the only operation within that impact area. Immediately adjacent to the ODOT pit to the west is a pit owned by Umatilla County. And then there is a private pit that, if you recall back to when the Interstate 82 was constructed, bisected a pit and occupied a portion of that. So there, the commercial pit is there. It's nearing its end of life. As a commercial pit, it's been much more active over the years. And the portion on the east side of the interstate, as I understand it, is reaching the end of its mining life. And there could be conversations in the near term about reclamation and a reactivity or new types of uses. So I've kind of said all this before a couple months ago when I was in front of you all. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have about the Powerline Quarry. Again, from the joint management agreement, this is a co-adoption. Umatilla County has approved this activity, and we're just here asking for the co-adoption. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And again, if there's any technical questions, we have several ODOT staff that are available today to answer those. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions?
Carla, just real quick, is all access and regress, all of that's already established for this bit and its uses? Or are there going to be new entrances, new exits, or just using the same that's been there?
So there's actually 3 potential access points. There is to the south, on the southwest corner of the site, the ODOT site, is where the current site access is for the granite site adjacent to, or kitty corner to. And there is Power City Road, I think it's Power City Road, that runs from there to Highway 395. Any activity that ODOT would be doing that would be on 395 or to the south of this, they would use that access. It is a dedicated right-of-way. There's also an easement. There's an old historical easement from BPA that gives them access to a road that was, I think, already dedicated or in place at the time, but we'll take it. Then they also come out to the north. There's I don't think this particular road has a name, but it is not quite evenly aligned with Scalpel Horn. Scalpel Horn is on the north side of 395. We're on the south side of 395. No, that would be 730 at that point in time. It doesn't quite align with Scalpel Horn. I don't believe it has a name. Some people think of it as the continuation of Power City Road. And then, so that would be activity that would be happening on 730 or to the interchange. That would be the access taken. And then Margaret, which is awkwardly, there's a portion of Margaret that appears to be dedicated, and then a part that looks to be just of common usage. And that could also have them access and enter onto Highway 730. So they've been there, they've been in use, and they are used by the local community as well.
Thanks, Carla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Any other proponents who would like to speak in front of the board? Okay. How about any opponents to this? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to call for any comments from public agencies. Okay. Hearing none, now it's the call for rebuttal, but I don't think there's anything to rebut. So with that, it's a call for request for continuance or to keep the record open. If granted, staff will assist scheduling timeline. And I see your counsel coming up. Okay. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close the hearing and go back into our regular meeting to take action. Deliberation and discussion.
None.
I move for the passage of ordinance number 2022-01.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. STF Grant Pendleton Services. Looks like you're still up with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Megan Dokchevsky, I'm here as the transit coordinator for this agenda item. The city of Pendleton is a transportation provider within Umatilla County, and they're requesting the county to approve their Federal Transportation Administration grant, the 5310 grant. Their request is this grant funds would be used to enhance the city's senior and disabled program service by providing additional tickets for taxi ticket vouchers and providing additional dial ride services during their peak hours for seniors and individuals with disabilities. This FTA 5310 grant is required to go to the STF committee for recommendation and then before the Board of Commissioners for a decision on whether or not the city can apply via the transit coordinator. The advisory committee met on January 28th, 2022 to provide a recommendation. The city is requesting grant funds in the amount of $100,000. This must be matched, so their local match would be $25,000. These match funds come from the county's adopted and approved STIF plan, which the city had specifically applied for this set of money for matching grant money. The STF Advisory Committee voted to recommend approval of the application. Following the board's decision, the application would have to go to ODOT for final project approval and selection. Staff is requesting the Board of Commissioners to approve the City of Pendleton's Purchase Services Grant application, which would authorize the transit coordinator to submit the project application to ODOT.
I would so move.
Second?
Got a motion, second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And it looks like STF grant for Pendleton maintenance.
This one is very similar to the last one, however, this project would provide additional assistance for preventative maintenance on the city's public transportation fleet. This fleet includes 3 buses and 7 ADA accessible minivans, which is used across their various transportation programs. These funds would meet the preventative maintenance needs for their fleet, including servicing aging vehicles, which is not currently met with their existing preventative maintenance budget. Again, the STF Advisory Committee met on January 28th, 2022 to provide a recommendation. For this project, the city is requesting grant dollars in the amount of $20,000. The provided match would be $5,000. This match comes from that same STIF budget that was already approved by the board. The STF committee voted to recommend approval of the application. Again, this application must be submitted to ODOT for final project approval and selection. Staff is requesting the board to approve the City of Pendleton's preventative maintenance grant application, which would authorize the transit coordinator to submit the project application to ODOT.
So moved.
Second?
Motion, second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think you're done, Megan.
Item number 4, the LUBGWMA study funding.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Walder, County Planning Director. The first item before you is for a joint county letter between Morrow County and Umatilla County to go to the Department of Agriculture. This deals with the Lower Umatilla Basin groundwater management area, and the commissioners from both counties are co-chairing a subcommittee to oversee the completion of a post-doc study to develop a better understanding of the nitrate issues with the LUBGWMA. And in 2021, the state legislature dedicated $250,000 to be routed through the Oregon Department of Agriculture to OSU for this postdoc position. And so as part of the subcommittee, the commissioners are urging the funds to be spent. They have to be spent by June 2023. And so it's our understanding that there's been a little bit of holdup due to staffing changes at ODA, as well as a review by the Justice Department at the state level. So we're hoping these procurement documents will continue to move forward, hopefully by June 2023. And if they're not able to commit to that, we're requesting that, you know, some sort of extension of those funds be allowed. So that's what this letter is for, and Commissioner Doran sits as the co-chair on this committee. So
Thanks,
any
Bob.
questions?
Well put. On behalf of co-chair and Morrow County Commissioner Melissa Lindsay, I would request that we approve this, and it is important. This whole study is very important to the whole ground nitrate issues throughout the west end of Umatilla County, but it's also going to be an indicator for the full county. So I would move for approval of the joint Umatilla and Morrow County letter of support and authorize the chair to sign it.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And I agree with you, by the way. Very important. Item number 5, West End Solar Project.
Yeah, so this is for a project application for a new solar site. This application, because of its size, will be going, and the fact that it's located in an area that's considered high value due to our viticulture designation. This project will be going through the Department of Energy and the Energy Facility Siting Council. And the West End Solar Project is a 50 megawatt, or proposed 50 megawatt project off of Edwards Road, just north of Stanfield. The project would include, as I said, 50 megawatts of generating capacity, up to 70 megawatts of energy storage, as well as several on-site substations and collector substations. The site would occupy approximately 324 acres of EFU zone land in Umatilla County. We met with ODO staff last month to discuss our review of the project. Most of our comments were related to land use standards, where we just need more clarification or a more detailed plan information about certain various issues. So these comments will go to the Department of Energy, and their staff will compile them and get them to the applicant, and then they will address them in their in the draft proposed order, I believe. Any questions about this? Or?
Real quick, Bob, I wasn't clear on who the applicant is. I mean, I know the property owner, I think.
I believe the applicant is Eurus Energy. They have several other projects in our region, and I believe in Umatilla County. The underlying land, there's 2 underlying landowners on the 2 parcels. One of them is Windblown Ranch, and I can't recall the name of the other entity that owns the parcel to the east, but it doesn't appear that the site has been irrigated in some time, and so it doesn't have high value soils on it, but it does qualify as high value farmland because of our viticulture area and that designation that we have in Umatilla County, which covers a lot of the county.
Yeah, I was just curious because I guess the lease between the landowners and the applicant's not an issue for us. That's all done separately.
Yeah, that would be done through them, more of a, I guess, civil action, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it looks like a pretty straightforward project, and
Yeah.
we didn't have too many concerns other than we just needed more detail on several aspects of it.
I'm looking at the map, I don't see any pivots there, so that's,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
That'd be tough property to farm right there.
Yeah, yeah, so. okay.
I'd move for approval of comments from the County Planning Department, review of the PASC, and authorize chair to sign.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Number 6, food bank grant application.
This is coming before the board for consideration for the county to act as the applicant for a community development block grant. Under the funding for COVID relief, there is specific funding under the Impact Assistance Program for food banks. And a consultant for the Eastern Oregon Mission has identified this as a source for possible equipment and other related items to be used at the Agape House Food Bank. The program does require a county or a city to be the applicant. In this case, the county has reviewed and discussed it with the director of the EOM and the consultant, and the staff is okay with the county acting as the applicant, and now it's before the board for formal consideration and approval. This would just be for the application process, and if there is a grant awarded, then there would be some future action required by the board.
I would like to thank council for all the help on this, because when Mark brought this to me, we ran down several different avenues, and I wasn't clear where to go, and so thank you for assisting Mark and Rachel and finding a solution for this.
And primarily the work will be done by the consultant. We hope that the brunt of this will be borne by the finance department and CFO as far as the work within the county.
I see Mark's on there if you have a question.
I'm just hearing about it the first time I saw that pinky, so I didn't know if Robert, have you weighed in on this, Robert? We didn't talk about this at the staff meeting, so.
Doug and I had a conversation with Mark and the consultant, and I'm comfortable with what is going to take place.
That's what I was looking for right there.
Not a record if people hear that.
Mark, did you hear the chief financial officer's comments?
You're on mute.
Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Actually, we might have
Oh, did we mute him?
might.
How's that?
Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? All right. Well, first of all, thank you very much, commissioners. And yes, I did hear that, and I'm very happy to hear that. This community development grant would be a great boost to upgrading a lot of the systems at the Agape House and Martha's house. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Submit a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Mark, for being on the call.
Thank you.
Number 7.
Thank you very much.
Payable. And my hand's still in the ceiling, isn't it?
Yes. This is coming before the board at the request of the administrative department and elections for approval of the payable. It's before the board because of the dollar amount. And this is routine payable for security envelopes for the upcoming election. The request is to approve amount up to $7,668 for the cost of the envelopes.
I'd move for approval, the payable to Senvio in the amount of $7,668.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, public health postage purchase.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, Joe Fumara, Public Health Director. Before you is to approve payment for $6,812, essentially for stamps, as we've received some of our at-home test kits. One of the ways we're distributing these is out to individuals identified as cases and contacts in the community. And for those who have already tested positive we're encouraging them. There's messaging in the packaging that encourages them to hand it to somebody they may have exposed, so those individuals have quick access to testing. The U.S. Postal Service, much like many others, are suffering from lots of work, not enough staff, and shortage of supplies. And so getting these stamps has been an ongoing piece so that they're ready to go when we get them to the post office. We've had the opportunity to purchase what should be a 2 to 3 week essentially amount for our daily mails. And the amount is before you guys due to the amount, and all of the funds to support this are coming from our funding from OHA for COVID support and from our OHA emergency preparedness funding.
Any questions?
Nope. I'll move for approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, and I just want to make note for the record that this is grant funded and not general fund. So,
Correct.
thank you. With that, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Number 9, Sheriff's Office reclassification. I don't know if Jennifer's doing that or the sheriff. It looks like Sheriff's on too, so I'm not sure who's gonna.
Good morning, Commissioners. I can certainly speak to this.
Good morning, Sheriff.
The request before you is to sort of create some consistency within our organization. We rely on each of our division commanders sort of consistent with a department director. In our world, it's a division director or division commander. Some years back, the jail commander was moved up to the captain level with a range salary at range 35. We're requesting that our other division commanders in the criminal division, the communication division, and administrative services division also be promoted and provided the salary consistent with range 35. In regards to our administrative service division commander, as you well know, we did some restructuring, added some additional duties under that umbrella, and additional personnel. And so just to, again, be consistent across the board, that is why the request is before you. Additionally, sort of getting to part of our staffing plan that was created back in 2019, I believe. As part of that, we had plans to also move one of our sergeants up into the lieutenant position. We've identified that individual that we'd like to put in that position, that being Sergeant Josh Roberts. That does not vacate a sergeant position, but rather creates or reclassifies Sergeant Roberts to a lieutenant at range 34. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd move for approval of the reclassifications as stated.
Second.
Okay, I thank you very much for that, Sheriff. I appreciate everything you said, and looking at your staff, I think you're getting pretty good staffing over there. So congratulations to all of them. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Number 10, property reconveyance.
This is coming before the board to authorize a sale back to the record owner. This property was acquired by the county for delinquent property taxes. The county took title earlier this year, and we received the request from the past owner to repurchase it back for an amount that will be equal to or in excess of the amount of taxes that would have been owing. This is at the discretion of the Board of Commissioners, but is allowed under state law And the amount of the purchase price in this consideration would be $6,500. I believe you've gotten a little bit of history from on the property ownership, and it's before the board for formal approval to reconvey the property back to Mr. Mora.
I'd move to adopt order number TX 2022-01.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All for the motion, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12, AOC payable.
Wait, flood coordinator.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Number 11, flood coordinator contract.
I can address this. This is a position, it's not a position, I'm sorry, it's a contract with the County Soil and Water Conservation District. It's not unlike other contracts we have with folks throughout in the county, like JR's contract, to assist us with issues that we don't have the capability of addressing as a county ourselves. This particular issue is flood recovery and mitigation, and actually expands out into natural hazard mitigation and recovery. The floods of 2019-2020 affected 32,000 folks in Umatilla County directly, and they're still recovering. What we found is that although there was quick response by FEMA and other agencies at the response level during the floods, what's happened is there's been a great amount of confusion, trying to track down and to identify the path to recovery. In some cases in Umatilla County, in the Mill Creek area, parts of the Walla, parts of the South Fork and North Fork, you actually are dealing with two different districts of the Corps of Engineers, which makes it an incredibly tough job, even more tough. In the mid-Umatilla region, you have 37 different reaches with 37 different plans for recovery, and each one of those have to be addressed through a grant application to the Corps of Engineers. Those are just two of the examples. Mackay Creek and Pendleton, Wild Horse and Pine Creek have both been affected. All of these folks do not have a route, or at least a consistent go-to one person to help them walk them through these issues that are presenting themselves. So what this position will be is contracted through the Water and Soil Conservation District for the amount of $16,515 to help support and have a one point of contact for these folks to go to. I can tell you right now, I'm spending anywhere up to 12 hours a week just trying to put together a contact list to help these folks, and I can't do it, and I don't have the expertise. It's not in my wheelhouse, and it's not my background. And the person that we're contracting with is already up to speed on this, Kyle Wagner, through the Soil and Conservation District. We are going to ask that as this proceeds, that we look to contributions from the folks that we service through this, and hopefully to get those brought back to the county.
I just want to read that part of the pinky, just so we have it. The cost of the services would be $16,515 per year. The plan is that the county would pay the initial cost for the services, but seek partners for contributing to the cost for this year and potential future years.
Yep.
Okay.
After our discussion, I've come to accept the fact that we will pay $16,515 a year, but this motion is worded such that it implies we will continue to do so. And I would only agree, and for my part, that we would pay for the $16,550 a year, and then subsequently consider partnering with other agencies in this process.
Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner Murdoch, that the one thing we can't or haven't been able to do is create a formula at this stage. It's a new endeavor. It's a new way for the Umatilla County to support its constituents, and especially its property owners. The one thing that we know is that the floods of 2019 and 2020 were devastating. Hopefully they were unique and not repeating. And when we come out at the end of this tunnel next year, that we do have a path to creating a formula if necessary. My desire would be that we never have to do this again, and that the recovery won't be there. But I think in reality, we're gonna see just the opposite. I think with fires, with drought, with floods, that we may end up looking at this position from a whole different angle by the time next year rolls around.
Looks like council's gonna say something too.
And the way the contract will be drafted will be only for a one-year term.
Right.
So it will expire, so if it only will be, you're only approving for 1 year.
Yeah, that was my concern, the implication. I would have to vote no unless we had that
Yeah,
provision.
yeah, it will only be a 1-year contract.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, I misinterpreted you.
Okay. So was there a motion somewhere?
I move to approve the contract with Umatilla County Soil and Water Conservation District to provide flood coordination and services
For 1 year.
for 1 year.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And AOC payable, number 12.
I move we pay the dues to AOC.
Second.
A motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And the Bureau of Reclamation consent. And I'll take that one. As part of the Central Pipeline project, it'll be necessary to cross the west extension main canal. The county proposes to assume the consent given by the United States to Westland Irrigation District to cross the canal. The amendment to the consent agreement is before the board for consideration, along with the terms for the consent. So the question action is approve amendment to consent to use and authorize commissioner to sign. And I would so move that motion.
Second.
Got motion second, any further
Look
discussion?
at me like you want a third.
I know I have it. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Supplemental budgets. And looks like we're going into public hearing mode again. Robert, take it away.
I think this one requires your signature.
Did it?
Check. Excuse us a second. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I miss something?
No, I just said, it appears it only needs your signature.
Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, Robert. Go ahead, back to your.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO, Umatilla County. There are 3 supplemental budgets to consider today. I will read you summaries of them. Budget Order 2022-31 General Fund for Veteran Services. The Veteran Services Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenue of $4,351, an increase in personnel services of $14,000, an increase in materials and services of $7,500, and a decrease in contingency of $17,149. Budget Order 2022-32 General Fund General County requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in beginning cash of $2 million and an increase in transfers out of $2 million. Budget Order 2022-33 Economic Development Reserve requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in transfers in of $2 million and an increase in materials and services of $2 million. Those are the 3 supplemental budgets before you this morning.
Okay, any comments from the public? Any questions from commissioners?
No, I'm setting that down when we take action for the voice of the professional announcers.
Well, and that will come out of public hearing, we'll have to go back to our regular meeting for action to be taken.
I would move for approval of budget order 2022-32 General Fund Veteran Services. The Veteran Service Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the time at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenues of $4,351 and an increase in personnel services of $14,000, an increase in materials and services of $7,500, and a decrease in contingency of $17,149.
Second?
Motion is second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Move for the approval of budget order 2022-33 General Fund, General County. The General County program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in beginning cash of $2 million and an increase transfers out of $2 million.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Budget order number 2022-34 Economic Development Reserve. The Economic Development Reserve Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in transfers in of $2 million and an increase in materials and services of $2 million.
Second?
Got a motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Dorrance?
None, well, yeah, it was enjoyable, for the OFA and the AOC conferences this weekend and this week. It was great to see, as many people in person as there was. But I also would like to thank, all of the county commissioners and the state legislators that, participated with OFA and what I thought was a great inaugural event. Thank you, President Murdoch, for AOC's participation, and hopefully that it becomes an annual event, because I think it was very beneficial for both the county commissioners and the AOC, but also with the legislators also. I think it was a great conference on both sides.
Yeah, I think we'll recommend that we get wider participation from the commissioners representing fairs on the west side, however.
Yeah,
It was noticeably eastern, but nonetheless, I think it's a good start.
Agreed.
Commissioner Murdoch?
No, I appreciate Commissioner Dorn putting himself up as a target on the Wolf bill.
Gladly done, gladly.
I think he was called a new array of names, but nonetheless, it's a serious problem. I appreciate his support and what he did.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay, I have nothing with that. We are adjourned. Thank you.